Hello. So today we're going to talk about the elements of a bipartite clause, part one. There's going to be a part two next time. First, Coptic nouns. Coptic nouns are categorized in three ways: masculine singular, feminine singular, and plural. And when we talk about plural, we don't categorize by gender, we only talk about plural. And plural in Coptic is two or one. Unlike other languages, there's no particular categorization for twos. Okay, so just two or one is all plural. Masculine singular and feminine singular are their own categories. Examples: Yot is father. Yoti is plural of fathers. Son is brother. Esneu is a plural for brothers. Yarrow is river. Yarrow is plural for rivers. And notice that some nouns change forms when going from singular to plural, and some don't. And there's no rule of which ones change form, which ones don't. You just have to know that some do and some don't, and you have to know which ones change to what. Okay, continuing on. Mao is mother. Mao is also mothers. Sony is sister. Esneu is sisters. So notice Esneu could be brothers or sisters. So you have to understand the context of the um, sentence that you are translating to figure out which one it is. Fe is heaven. Feowi is heavens. Okay. So these are the categorizations for the Coptic nouns. There's a golden rule for all Coptic prefixes. Okay. The first is if a prefix starts with a P sound and there are two letters that are considered P sound in Coptic, if the prefix begins with any of those two letters, then the noun that's coming after the prefix has to be singular masculine. If the prefix begins with a T sound, which could be any of these three letters, then the noun following the prefix has to be singular feminine. If the prefix begins with an N sound, then the noun following that prefix is considered plural, regardless of gender. Okay. The first set of prefixes we're going to learn about are the definite article the. For masculine singular, there are three articles that can all be translated to the. It's ep, f, or p. The shorter ones, the ep and the f, are called weak articles. Any noun that comes after those has to be unique or very obvious noun. Whatever comes after the p, a strong article, is neither unique or obvious. Okay. And we'll see some examples in the next slide. For the feminine singular, there are also three articles, uh, and they all are translated as the, which are the articles are et, or t. For the plural, there are only two articles, ni or nan. Again, for the singular and feminine, the et or the et are weak articles, and whatever noun comes after them has to be unique or very obvious kind of a noun. Okay, here are some examples. Piyot means the father with a small f, father. Efyot is the father with a capital F. So we're only talking about the Father in heaven, for example. So notice the F is a weak article and the P is a strong article. It's confusing sometimes because people think might think that unique noun requires a strong article, but it's the other way around. It's if it's a unique noun, then it requires a weak article. If it's not a unique noun, then it requires a strong article. For on the feminine side, there's also T-Mao, the mother with small m, or Et-Mao, the mother with a capital M. And notice I put the in parentheses for the masculine and the feminine examples, which means for these cases you might not have to translate the literally as long as you capitalize the first letter of the noun. For ni and nen, there is no weak or strong articles in plural prefixes. They both are translated as the, and ni seems to be the more common form. The next set of prefixes are the near demonstrative articles. They're translated as this or these. Pi for the masculine singular, tai for the singular feminine, and nai for plural, regardless of gender. Notice we're still following the golden rule, where the P sound is masculine, the T sound is singular feminine, and the N sound is plural. And the translation has to follow. So for the pi and tai, it is this. For nai, the translation would be these. Next are the possessive articles. An object in Coptic can be possessed by 8 different persons. Me, you, masculine, you, feminine, her, him, us, you, plural, or them. These are the 8 persons in the Coptic language. And every one of those can possess an object. If the object being possessed is a masculine object, in this case father, then the possessive article has to follow the golden rule for Coptic prefixes, meaning it has to begin with a P sound. So in this example, Payot is my father, Pekiot is your masculine father, Peyot is your feminine father, and the masculine and feminine is about the person who owns the object, not about the father, obviously. Okay. Pefiot is his father. Pesiot is her father. Peniot is our father. Peteniot is your plural father. Puyot is their father. Okay. If the object being possessed is a feminine object, in this case mother, then all the prefixes have to follow the golden rule for Coptic prefixes, which means they all have to begin with a T sound. So in this case, Ta Mao is my mother. Tek Mao is your mother if I'm talking to a masculine person. Te Mao is your mother if I'm talking to a feminine person. Tef Mao for his mother, and Tes Mao for her mother. Ten Mao for our mother. Teten Mao for your mother if I'm talking to a group, or Tu Mao if I'm talking about their mother. Okay. If the object being possessed is plural, example fathers, then all the prefixes now have to begin with an N sound. So Na Yoti is my father's, Nek Yoti is your father's if I'm talking to a he. Ne Yoti is your father's if I'm talking to a she. Nephioti is his father's. Nestioti is her father's. Nenioti is our father's. Netanioti is your father's if I'm talking to a group. And Nuyoti is their father's. Next, we're going to talk about Greek nouns. 20% of nouns in Coptic text could be Greek nouns. In Greek, there's masculine, feminine, and there's neuter. And there is no neuter in Coptic. So any noun that is neuter in Greek when moved to a Coptic text is defaulted to masculine. Greek nouns, when used in the Coptic language, they use the longer form of the Coptic articles P, T, or Ni for the singular masculine and feminine. Examples: Angelos is angel, Entole is commandment, Epistole is letter, Petra is rock, Psyche is soul, police is city, Doron is gift, and Trapeza is a table. Next are propositions. Proposition describe direction, location, time, or introduces an object. Here are some examples of Coptic prepositions. Chen is in, and sa is behind or after. Hijen is on or upon. Cha is under. He is on. Hiren is at the entrance of. Nem is with. Hiten could be through or by means of. Finally, we're going to talk about the bipartite clause. A bipartite clause in Coptic requires two things: a subject and a prepositional phrase, which may be referred to as a predicate. A prepositional phrase is basically a preposition and another noun. Okay, so here are some examples. Pi Romi Chen Pi A. So in the Coptic text that you're looking at here, there's actually no verb to be. It doesn't say is anywhere in the Coptic text. But because this is a bipartite clause structure, it is already a complete sentence in Coptic. And when we are translated to English, I have to provide the verb to be in the English translation. So Pi Romi Chen Pai A means the man is in this house. Pagom Chen Tai Trapeza means the book is under this table. Ni Petra Hi Pai To means the rocks are on this mountain. The bipartite clause is the simplest form of a sentence in the Coptic language. However, it's not the most common sentence in the Coptic language. The most common sentence is the verbal sentence, which we're not going to cover today. If I want to negate a bipartite clause, all I have to do is add the particle "an" at the end of the sentence. However, when I'm translating this to English, I have to put it in the proper place, which is right after the subject in English. So, Pi Romi Chen Pai A An. When I translate that to Coptic, it has to say the man is not in this house. Pagom Chatai Trapeza An. That means my book is not under this table. And the last example is Ni Petra Hi Pai To An, translated as the rocks are not on this mountain. Okay, more examples to end our lesson today. Tai Shori Chen Najik. Okay, so for your homework, you're gonna get a sentence like this, and when I translate it, I'll expect to see a breakdown of the sentence by marking out the prefixes, the grammatical prefixes that we learned about today. So in this case, tie would be the near demonstrative, and na would be a possessive article. Okay, so once I figure that out, then I know everything else, and I can just translate it. This sensor is in my hands. When you're translating for the homework, I expect to see marking for feminine or masculine or plural and for these prefixes, so I know that you understand that this prefix is only used for singular feminine, singular masculine, or plural noun. The next example, P istoinofi, ijen, pima, and er shuushi. Again, the first step is to break out the prefixes that we already learned about. So P is my definite article, and it comes in twice. Ijen is your preposition, so I have a bipartite structure here. And so when I translate this, it has to be a complete sentence. The incense is upon the altar. Okay, and I put the M for the two nouns. This way, I know that you know that this article is only used for singular masculine nouns. Now, you will get an extra credit if you tell me what is a mistake I made in the first translation of this slide. The last set of examples. Isos epechristos chen pi imhao and. Okay, notice here I introduced a proper noun, Isos, meaning Jesus. When you see a bar on top of two letters, that means it's an abbreviation. This is the abbreviation for the word Isos, meaning Jesus, and the second word is the abbreviation for the word Epechristos, meaning Christ, the Christ. The first thing I have to do is break out the grammatical prefixes which we already learned about. In this case would be the ep before Echristos and the p before emhal, both of which are uh, definite articles for singular masculines. However, epechristos is a weak article. So when I translate echristos, I have to capitalize the C. So it would be Jesus Christ with capital C is not in the tune. The next and last example is Isos nem nefmatetis. Okay. Again, the first thing is to break out the prefixes. In this case would be the nef, and that's it. And nef is a possessive article for the third person masculine. But the noun coming after it has to be plural because nef begins with an N sound. So when I translate that, I want to see that plural notation on your translation. Translation would be Jesus is with his disciples. And I know this is a complete sentence because it has the nominal subject, the preposition, and another uh, noun, definite noun afterwards. And that's it for today's lesson.